GoFundMe, Wallace's return fails to move the market. YouTuber Floyd Wallace's return to live streaming did nothing to move the market on Saturday, as our own ongoing expenses fund took the day with another $10 win from our mysterious hate watcher. Wallace, who we're not sure even knows his GoFundMe campaign is still very much active, returned from almost a week away, ignoring his legal issues and declaring that he'll soon be in Colombia once his passport issues are resolved. The YouTuber explained that he had his emergency meeting with passport officials on Friday, who said there was a delay in providing him with a new passport as his passport was mysteriously flagged in the system. Wallace was told to come back later in the day on Friday, but missed his window due to ride-sharing issues and was unable to check back in. He said he would check back in on Tuesday, as he had a flight booked for Bogota, Colombia on Wednesday. Speculation by Wallace was that there was some sort of unpaid criminal fine or traffic ticket on his record, avoiding the fact that he has a pending plea deal and sentencing in Oklahoma in early October on obstruction charges, which may be preventing him from leaving the country. Wallace said he had enough money to get both a regular passport and a passport card, despite the failure of his fundraising for both. In fundraising news, he turned his attention to reimbursement of himself for the $150 he needed to have his viewers to pay for his Airbnb. He earned $5 towards that goal by the end of the broadcast. Updating his YouTube monetization issues, Wallace said that he updated his address from Nebraska to Texas within YouTube's system, and they needed to send him a new verification PIN number via postal mail to confirm his address. All monetization would be collected, but not paid out to him on the channel until the verification was made. On a side note, we just went through this process for level 1 monetization on this YouTube channel, confirming Floyd's account of the process. Wallace assured his audience that his other YouTube channels were still monetized and that he wouldn't lose too much money from this snafu, though doubled down on his efforts to reimburse himself from his fans' money for the $150 needed for the Airbnb on his next sex tourism vacation. On that note, if you'd like to stop these sermons about our future Lord and Savior Floyd Wallace, and to force me to keep writing this column each day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Irish Demon demonetized again. YouTuber Irish Demon went live Saturday night in a BSBT and technical issue plagued broadcast that saw him announce that he was partially demonetized by YouTube after ongoing issues with privacy strikes placed on his channel by Welsh News Network owner Daniel Jones. Jones reportedly started placing privacy strikes on Demon's channel last month after Demon's expose on Jones left the Welsh News Network in tatters in May. Jones was apparently still angered about the expose, as Demon went to Wales to expose Jones's many untruths about his background, social status, and relationship. When Demon recently returned to Wales, he said that word of his activities may have gotten back to Jones, and the problems with the YouTube channel began again, with multiple privacy complaints per day lodged against his channel. Demon speculated that Jones was preparing to back his claims with a lawsuit against him and pledged that he would make a circus out of any lawsuit. The issues with monetization seemed to impact channel revenue and super chats. Demon's viewers were able to purchase individual channel memberships, gift memberships, and send membership messages during his broadcast. It is unclear if Demon will receive any of the funding from those memberships if he's been fully demonetized. His speculation was that Daniel Jones went after his AdSense account and he would be following up with Google YouTube. Demon said this was the 4th or 5th time his channel had been demonetized, and he'd worked through the problems with YouTube to restore monetization. Also at issue was the presence of YouTuber Broken System Broken Trust. BSBT apparently had been leaving messages on Demon's public phone messaging in a mix of messages of hate and admiration. Demon invited BSBT to join him on his Sunday night live stream to get to the bottom of BSBT's issues. The YouTuber said he would be going live more often in the future as he shared his PayPal with his fans and encouraged them to contribute to help make up for the possible lost revenue from the YouTube channel. Demon also claimed that he would be working on expanding his outside income with new projects, including his own ice cream line. Disclosure: ReallyCoolNews is an independent act of blogsmanship and claims no ties to any individual or organizations within the community. ReallyCoolNews worked in conjunction with the Welsh News Network until May of this year. Owner/reporter Jim Finch appeared nightly on WNN broadcasts, and Finch has also appeared on Irish Demon's channel post leaving WNN. Josh Abrams dishes dirt on Dr. Phil. Josh Accountability for All Abrams held a tell-all live stream in which he dished the dirt on his appearance on the Dr. Phil show while arranging a surprised ambush of a guest featuring Sean Paul Long Island Audit's Riaz. Abrams claimed that he wanted to talk about the show with a security guard named Trey, who was presented by Dr. Phil as the hero, while Abrams was presented as the villain of the story Dr. Phil was trying to tell with the show. Trey was used to verify Abrams's claims that the Dr. Phil show wasn't scripted, but it was heavily influenced by production assistants in the crowd, holding up signs to instruct the crowd to boo, laugh, or cheer, depending on the reaction the producers wanted at that moment. The pair also confirmed that those portrayed as villains were kept in a different hotel than the heroes, and everyone was kept apart during the lead-up to the show. Abrams also claimed that Dr. Phil would go from screaming at him on camera to joking and laughing with him during the commercial breaks. Trey's involvement with the show came as he appeared in a video on Sean Paul Long Island Audit Riaz's channel, released on March 26, 2023, and was filmed at the Employment Commission at Norfolk, Virginia, where Trey was then working with Allied Security. The former security guard was ordered to escort Riaz out of the Veterans Administration area of the building, and Riaz would later press charges against Trey for putting his hands on him during his attempts to get Riaz to leave. This was the famous video where a second auditor from the area pretended to be a random citizen and intervened and defended Riaz's rights to film within the building. Riaz apparently released Trey's information to the internet, and he ended up having his hours reduced at Allied Security due to complaints by Riaz's fans. He also lost his house and had to file for bankruptcy due to the reduction of work. His family has faced constant harassment since the incident, including his young daughters being harassed at school. Fans of Riaz apparently attended Trey's eventual assault hearing, which was not held as Riaz failed to show for the hearing. It remains on Trey's record. Trey alleges that the fans made racist and hateful comments towards him during the hearing and followed he and his family back to his car. Trey revealed that he stopped a possible fight between Riaz and a veteran who was there for job placement. The veteran left the facility after the incident, never to return, and Trey claimed that the man later committed suicide based on his treatment by Riaz. The only reason Trey agreed to do the Dr. Phil show, where both men received airfare, hotel accommodations, and food vouchers, but no direct payment, was that he was promised a chance to confront Riaz. As part of a special reveal as a tactic right out of daytime TV, Riaz was brought up in StreamYard by Abrams to confront Trey about his accusations. Riaz, to the adoring cheers of Abrams's side chat, called Trey a liar and accused him of making up the veteran. He pointed to his highly edited video as proof that the veteran never existed. He also claimed he never worked with anyone else, despite a recent collaboration video with Tua Pre, and the second auditor showing to back him up with security guards was just a coincidence. Riaz continued to belittle Trey, mocking the fact that he lost his job, house, and having to declare bankruptcy, while offering no apologies or taking responsibility for any action that resulted in Trey's current life status. Going further, Riaz blamed Trey for all of his actions and said that Trey should have learned he was there to observe as a security guard and should never intervene with individuals. Instead, he should wait for the police to take over. Riaz claimed that he was offered the spot on Dr. Phil but could not go due to a family commitment. After Riaz left the panel, Trey stayed for another half an hour, and Abrams teased a summation of his thoughts on who was telling the truth between Trey and Riaz, ending the video as he was about to reveal his thoughts. De Castro details struggles and setbacks. Jose Chile de Castro announced on his Friday night live stream that he had been busy with family matters and new projects while recovering from dental surgery that may pull him away from live streaming in the immediate future. Problems with his teeth have dominated his life since getting out of jail in July. He had a broken tooth while in jail, which he used as one of his reasons for not immediately going live after being released. He had the tooth fixed post-jail, but has broken it twice in the past month. He claimed to have emergency oral surgery on Wednesday to fix the tooth, but would be speaking abnormally until later this week when he'd have the second half of the dental procedure. Coincidentally, his sudden dental emergency came on a day where he was set to be deposed in his lawsuit against Kate Peter, Team Skeptic, Daniel Clement, and Michael Blue Bacon Paratini, which he has not mentioned during his broadcasts. De Castro's problems continued as he attended a cousin's funeral on Friday, crying his eyes out because the unnamed cousin was the same age as he was. The former actor didn't seem to let the death of his relative impact his critiques of police as he continued to play anti-police videos with the same vigor as normal. He expressed that he had a lot of family time in the past few weeks as he went to Alaska 2 weeks ago for his brother's wedding. This more than likely corresponded with his complaints about those close to him not agreeing with his anti-police viewpoints. The YouTuber also announced that he had really cool things going on and that he had a super progressive project coming out that would be revolutionary. He said he couldn't talk about it now, but it would be out to amaze his friends by Christmas. He also updated the status of Charlie the dog, who had a near-death experience over the past week. De Castro had announced that Charlie may lose his spleen early in the week, later changing it to his pancreas, with increasing levels of near-death until after the day De Castro was set for deposition had passed, when he made a full recovery. De Castro skipped broadcasting on Saturday, but is expected to go live again on Sunday. GoFundMe, hard realities about monetization. We won Sunday again with a $10 take from our mystery benefactor. I think you know the rest already, as there was no activity on any of the other campaigns we follow. There's been a lot of questions in the past about the need for the ongoing campaign or our continued request for donations since we're now monetized. Since we're out of everything else to talk about today, let's dive in. A couple of weeks ago, we reached level 1 monetization with help from NCR News Network's promotion. We reached 500 viewers, and that means the money is flowing in, right? Oh no, not so fast. We did get basic monetization. That means that we can receive super chats, super stickers, and people can buy channel memberships. We do not get ad revenue or any other perks, and we're still about 460 subscribers away from unleashing any income from people watching our videos. Between what's available to us to make money on YouTube, we've made about $160 in pre-tax money, hopefully post-YouTube cut money, that is sitting in an account that we can't touch until, hopefully again, next month. Google requires verification, and conveniently, after going through all the steps for monetization, YouTube added the final step of verifying our address by sending a code out via snail mail as the supposed final step in the process. To their credit, our code only took 6 days to get here, and we put it in the system, and we wait, and jeepers, if they pay the 20th, that's still going to be 25 days until we see any revenue. And that's where our problem comes in. We still have to eat. We still have cats to feed. We still have bills to pay. Our generous mystery hate watcher aside, and a couple of special donors aside, we still need help for the basics as we need to survive. In other words, the movie credits didn't roll, and there's no happily ever after when our magic YouTube moment came. We still need your help, and we're thankful if you still want to support us. For our part, since all of our means to make money are tied to live streaming and streams, that's what we'll be doing. We'll be returning to panel shows and finding more ways of bringing in people to our channel and hopefully jumpstart things to again hopefully move us out of the red and back into the black in September, if we get paid. On that note, if you'd like to shut us up about having to eat and feed cats and all that good stuff, and force me to keep writing this column each day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Tuapre addresses Florida arrest. YouTuber Tuapre released a video Sunday night addressing his July arrest for failure to comply with a lawful order and the drama surrounding his car's tinted windows as the situation went semi-viral in the past week. A video began to circulate last week of Tuapre's arrest on July 26, 2024, essentially for driving his vehicle with illegally tinted windows after getting multiple tickets and direct orders not to drive his car. Apre said he was going to stay positive, but questioned how someone got word of the arrest when it was under his real name and wasn't widely publicized, especially on the level it would take for someone in the auditing community to then go out and get the body cam footage for release. The comedian and YouTuber noted that one of the police officers recognized him on scene, but didn't make the direct accusation that the officer leaked the arrest. He did find it coincidental, but left it at that and noted that he first saw the video on hero Sean Paul, Long Island Audit Riaz's channel. Apre recounted the first incident with police that had body cam released, which occurred on July 25, 2024. He was pulled over by a motorcycle officer for the tint, who noted that he had several tickets for the same offense. The officer instructed Apre to call a tow truck as he would be unable to drive the vehicle until the situation with the tint was resolved. Apre complied and had the car towed back to his Airbnb. He admitted to making the willing decision to drive the car the next day as it was a workout day and he needed to stay on schedule. He didn't explain why he opted to drive instead of taking an Uber or rideshare, but the decision led to the encounter with police and his arrest a few minutes later. Apre called most of the officers chill and continued his mantra of putting positivity out into the world. He said he didn't hate police and had nothing but respect for them. Ultimately, Apre showed up at his hearing for the tinted glass and had all charges dropped by the state. Apre released no conditions on what he needed to agree to for the charges to be dropped as of press time. O'Keefe family files wrongful death lawsuit. The family of Boston police officer John O'Keefe filed the wrongful death lawsuit on Monday against Karen Reed and the two bars that served her on the night she is alleged to have hit O'Keefe with her car. John O'Keefe's brother Paul, his father John O'Keefe II, mother Margaret O'Keefe, and niece Kaylee Furbush are listed as plaintiffs in the case against C&C Hospitality, doing business as C.F. McCarthy's, Waterfall Bar and Grill, and Karen Reed are listed as the defendants in the lawsuit. The suit alleges that C.F. McCarthy served 7 alcoholic beverages to Reed in about 90 minutes on January 8, 2022, and allowed her to carry her last drink out of the bar and take it with her to the Waterfall Bar, where she was served 2 more alcoholic drinks over the next 90 minutes. According to the suit, a clearly intoxicated Reed was allowed to leave the bar and drive without anyone intervening or offering a designated driver, rideshare, or cab to Reed. Reed then drove boyfriend John O'Keefe to Brian Albert's house, where she got into an argument with O'Keefe, ultimately striking him with her vehicle and leaving him for dead. Reed then allegedly returned to the O'Keefe house and confessed to Kaylee Furbush that she hit O'Keefe with her car and leaving him at the scene. She then attempted to cover up her actions by conducting a search for O'Keefe with her friends. Reed's blood alcohol levels were between 0.13 and 0.29 when her blood was tested hours after the alleged murder, putting her well above the 0.08 blood alcohol content legal limit to drive a motor vehicle. Both bars are accused of gross negligence in their involvement in the events leading to O'Keefe's death. Among the many accusations against them, they are accused of violating their own training and over-serving Reed to the point where she was a danger to others. The O'Keefes are seeking judgment against all defendants, plus costs, compensatory and punitive damages, lost value to next of kin, and any other relief the court deems appropriate. Karen Reed stood trial for the death of John O'Keefe in the spring and early summer of 2024, which resulted in a hung jury. Reed's initial defense had been that she was framed for the murder of O'Keefe by Brian Albert, Colin Albert, and Brian Higgins, a man she had kissed at O'Keefe's home and had been flirting with. Reed's second trial for the murder is set for January 2025. DeCastro audits roadside incident. Live streaming from an undisclosed location Sunday night, Jose Chile DeCastro stood on the opposite side of the street from a traffic stop, simultaneously promoting his 5A cop card product and failing to follow it at the same time. DeCastro said he was driving down a road when he came across a scene with two police cars involved in a stop of a dark SUV. Two officers were questioning a black man on the side of the road. He said he pulled around and parked across the street in front of a gated community and provided commentary as he claimed the man said he had a warrant that the officers were checking on. Eventually, the officers had the man fill out a roadside statement while the man's father came over and told DeCastro that the man had been fighting with his brother. While waiting for activity, DeCastro chastised his side chat for discussing politics. Despite sarcastically endorsing Donald Trump last week, DeCastro said that neither Trump nor Kamala Harris would get his vote as he was voting third party. He called Robert Kennedy a sellout for endorsing Trump and would not be backing his former candidate's decision. One of the two police cars eventually went into the gated community, and DeCastro overheard the officer describing DeCastro as a First Amendment auditor to the person who answered the intercom at the gate. DeCastro then said he planned on using his 5A cop card to invoke his First Amendment rights as pressed, then his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent should the officer ask him questions. Strangely, DeCastro then crossed the street to engage with the other officer who was waiting on someone to arrive to take the SUV from the man involved in the stop. DeCastro engaged the officer, who ignored him, asking questions and eventually following the officer's orders to stand back from the windows of his car. DeCastro at one point randomly commenting to himself how easy it would be to kill the officer due to the man's ease at DeCastro's presence. Eventually, a second man came and took the SUV into the residential community, with the police officers following closely. DeCastro, now alone on the scene, would do one more plug for his products before ending the live stream. GoFundMe LIA shows signs of life. Sean Paul Long Island audits Ria's help with billboard truck purchase to expose tyranny. Fund showed minor signs of life on Monday with a $5 donation that put it in second place for the day, behind the usual $10 donation to our own ongoing expenses fund. The donation is the first in 28 days to the fund, ending a drought for most of his ongoing campaigns, as only his Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption fund has had a donation this month. His unlawful arrest and constitutional rights violation campaign sits at $2,326 out of a $10,000 goal and last saw a donation 2 months ago. The fund Legal Defense Against Unlawful Arrest Fund hadn't had a donation in a month's time and sits at $16,326 out of a $20,000 goal. Sitting near death for 7 months, his help with criminal defense attorney for this case campaign sits at $21,650 out of a $25,000 goal. 5 months dormant, his Help LIA with legal fees to fight tyrants lawsuit fund sits at $1,891 out of a $2,500 goal. It's unclear what prompted the donation to this fund to buy his billboard truck, as he's already purchased the vehicle, though Riaz has been in the news lately for obnoxious and trolling behavior not directly related to his billboard truck. Riaz made the news over the weekend for participating in Josh Abrams' ambush of a security guard who appeared as a hero on the Dr. Phil taping about auditors with Abrams. Abrams used Riaz to bash the man, whose encounter with Riaz was the topic of the show, allowing Riaz to say the man was a liar about the encounter and accused the man of inventing the story of a veteran who committed suicide after his encounter with Riaz. Riaz, to the cheers of Abrams' side chat, was relentless towards the man, questioning his role as a security guard and demanding that the man acknowledge that his only role as a security guard is to observe. Despite his claims of only working alone, Riaz apparently worked with another auditor during his 2023 encounter with the security guard, as the second auditor randomly appeared to help distract guards and to defend Riaz. Riaz has also appeared in a collaboration video with comedian Tua Pri, though claimed the videos were just a coincidence and not in the least pre-planned. The subject of Riaz's tremendous financial success has also come up, with YouTuber Mark Stout pointing out on a Frauditor Troll live panel that Riaz is a trust fund baby and doesn't need the use of crowdfunding campaigns to raise money, as he receives money from his family. Riaz has downplayed his tremendous earnings from YouTube and his crowdfunding campaigns, allowing the campaigns to remain up long after the court cases involved in the campaigns have ended. On that note, if you'd like to make us rich beyond our wildest dreams, hey, $20 is rich, and all that good stuff, and force me to keep writing this column each day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Freeman continues troll of Edgewood mayor. Responding to a series of privacy complaints by Mayor of Edgewood, New Jersey, Michael McPartland, on Monday, independent journalist James Freeman Springer made a series of calls to the Edgewood Police Department requesting welfare checks on the mayor. Freeman called the City of Edgewood's 911 emergency services line to inquire about the health of Mayor McPartland and to check and see if he had clean underwear following Mayor McPartland's alleged abuse of YouTube's privacy complaint system. YouTuber Freeman explained that he has friends who contact subjects of his previous videos to inform them that they can complain to YouTube about their personal information being distributed on the service. Freeman admitted that they then get trolled again, as Freeman gets a copy of the complaint and can make a second video about the subject's attempt to have his channel taken down. Freeman explained that there's a system in place to protect a person's private information or non-public information, such as social security numbers and bank account numbers, from distribution on the service. He claimed that he did not distribute either in his previous video about the mayor, released Sunday, and that had he had that information, he would not have risked his channel by putting it on YouTube. In the previous video, Freeman and a group of other First Amendment auditors visited the City Hall of Edgewood, New Jersey. Again, according to Freeman, the building is routinely locked down, as no filming is allowed in the building. Freeman and his group were allowed into the building and immediately started filming, making their way to the mayor's office, where Freeman claims the mayor hid from them and then summoned police to clear the men from the building. No arrests were made in the incident, as it resolved peacefully. Freeman said that the privacy complaints began soon after the first video was released on Sunday, with nearly a half a dozen received as of his Monday live stream. False privacy complaints are a continuing trend on YouTube, with Irish Demon's channel allegedly receiving multiple complaints from the Welsh News Network owner Daniel Jones in recent times, threatening its existence. Our own channel received a strange privacy complaint within the past 2 weeks, days after monetization. There was a complaint in the system, however, we were not able to see the details of the complaint, what video it was associated with, or who filed the complaint before the warning resolved itself. We will continue to update Freeman's situation as he provides updates. Motion to dismiss denied in DeCastro case. Judge Andrew Gordon denied a motion to dismiss Jose Chili DeCastro's second amended complaint in his lawsuit against the Las Vegas Metro Police Department on Monday, calling the motion moot. Judge Gordon essentially said that because the defense's motion to dismiss and their motion for summary judgment were so similar, he was denying the motion to dismiss to focus on the arguments that both sides had presented in the motion for summary judgment. The motion for summary judgment has lingered long enough that DeCastro went from serving time for the base charges of obstructing an officer and interfering in a traffic stop when it was filed to now having the conviction overturned and the crime stricken from his record. DeCastro is now arguing that the state court of appeals finding must be accepted by the federal court as it heard all the evidence that DeCastro has presented and found in his favor. The defense counters that the judge in the federal case has already sided with them on many things that the state court differed on, that they were not part of the state court case or allowed to argue on their behalf, so the state court's ruling is meaningless. DeCastro was arrested in Las Vegas in March of 2023 after he attempted to talk to a driver who was actively involved in a traffic stop. DeCastro initially refused to follow instructions by Officer Brandon Bork on the scene and was eventually arrested for interfering in the stop and obstructing the officer. The YouTuber was convicted on both offenses in Nevada State Court in March of 2024, with an appeals court overturning the decision in July of this year. DeCastro filed suit in federal court against the LVMPD, claiming various offenses including permanent nerve damage, excessive use of force, violation of multiple rights, illegal search and seizure, and supervisor liability. Nearly half of his charges were thrown out last fall with prejudice, with the other half thrown out with leave to refile them if specific needs were met, leaving just the excessive force and supervisor liability charges left without questions. Ignoring the rulings, DeCastro eventually refiled all of the charges, again with their original stipulations, resulting in both the motion to dismiss the second amended complaint and the motion for summary judgment by the defense. Judge Gordon had ordered both sides to update their arguments based on the overturning of DeCastro's conviction, with both sides complying with the order last week with briefings filed on August 23, 2024. The ruling by Judge Gordon is expected later this summer. Turtle Boy Smith Ellis trade blows again. There were instant ramifications after the O'Keefe family filed their civil suit against Karen Reed on Monday, with Turtle Boy Aiden Kearney leading the charge of anti-O'Keefe family Twitter posts accusing members of the family of financial discrepancies. Kearney wrote, "Paul and Peggy are using a twice-orphaned girl as part of their lawsuit against Karen Reed and 2 bars in Canton, and they've gotten her to change her story about what Karen said the morning the McAlberts killed John O'Keefe. Everything in their hilariously stupid lawsuit is proven wrong by testimony given in court by the Commonwealth's witnesses, and they've opened up the doors for the McAlberts to perjure themselves in depositions. Auntie Bev won't be able to protect them in Plymouth Superior Court. Paul says Karen Reed's legal defense strategy has caused him emotional distress, so much distress he came up with $230,000 last October to add an addition to his house, after getting a loan from a bank where his mother-in-law is on the board of directors. But you can't question Paul O'Griff's motives or honesty because you're attacking the victim's family." He also tweeted, "Breaking news, Karen Reed told me on record that the Vanity Fair article on her will include all of her attorney's fee and expenses, as well as her assets with receipts. Unlike many others in this case, she clearly has nothing to hide. Expected publication date is early December." Kearney was countered by prominent Reed critic Julie Carpenter, who wrote, "Calling all Karen Reed cultists, Karen needs $2 million. Let's go, all you grifting content creators. Grovel to your audience for donos for your killer queen." And pretty funny watching FKR supporters twisting themselves into pretzels trying to make Karen wasn't drunk happen in the civil case, not realizing the ramifications of what they're saying. A few things that support Karen being heavily inebriated that are documented. Karen's blood draw the following morning showing BAC was likely between 0.13 and 0.29% at the time of the accident. Karen not remembering leaving Waterfall with John. Carrie Roberts observing Karen was still visibly drunk the next morning. 7 drinks on video at C.F. McCarthy's. We are dealing with the preponderance of evidence here, and there is more than enough, in my opinion, to reasonably ascertain she was drunk. And being drunk is a good thing for Karen. If she's not drunk, there's an intent issue. Why on earth would anyone reverse at a high rate of speed on snowy ground towards a pedestrian? Without the alcohol, the circumstances of hitting John start to look more intentional and less like an accident. Intentional means her insurance likely won't defend the civil suit, and intentional means murder on the criminal side. Finally, Grant Smith Ellis weighed in on Kearney. All right, folks. It is clear that there's a network of operatives in the orbit of Aidan Turtleboy Kearney who support releasing court documents about children and covering up serious allegations of rape. I will not stop until you all are criminally charged. He also posted, boom, confirmation that Christy Citron is indeed being used as a proxy by Turtleboy to threaten a victim of rape into silence. It appears that Citron hid in plain sight for months and referred that victim to at least one lawyer close to Mark Randazza, who works for Kearney. Remember that all tweets are the views of those who tweeted them. Please make up your mind as to the facts reported in them based on the character and quality of work presented by the reporters. We will continue to monitor the continued mess in Boston as new tweets present themselves. GoFundMe, Long Island Audits takes the day. It was another historic win for us on Tuesday as our ongoing expense fund. Wait a second. We lost? We lost to Long Island Audits? How the hell did this happen? This wasn't in the script. I want my manager. Okay, calm down. It's just a one-time thing, right? Sean Paul, Long Island Audit, RIA's, help with the billboard truck purchase to expose tyranny. That fund took in $25 and topped our $10 haul for the day. Wait a minute, that's 2 donations in a row to the stupid billboard truck fund. That's not a coincidence. Oh Lord, one more day of it, and it's a trend. God, why am I writing in all caps? Why am I speaking in all caps? It's our first trend, and it's not about us. Okay, we're fine now. Obviously, someone somewhere is convinced that Sean Paul Riaz deserves a billboard truck that he already owns. I mean, for real, he has the truck. He's just been using the fund for gas money or taxes or something wonky on his income that he's never going to declare. We'll watch the fund, but by golly, if things aren't next to normal tomorrow, I'm sending pants to your house to judge your movie and CD collection. Let alone your online collections, folks. He's a mean judge of your entertainment history, and he doesn't just judge you. He downloads copies of all the stuff you have that he doesn't have, and he'll leave you high and dry. Now we're upset. But someone who really should be upset is Jose Chile de Castro, as it looks like there's been an alternative to his indestructible trifolds from a program that started way back in 2020. Individual states and sometimes counties of those states have joined forces to take part in the Blue Envelope program, which essentially serves the same function as a trifold for drivers with a diagnosis such as Down syndrome, autism spectrum disorder, dementia, anxiety, or conditions that might require additional accommodations or awareness during a law enforcement interaction. Blue envelopes have step-by-step instructions for the driver on how to interact with police during a traffic stop. It includes reminders to stay calm, keep your hands on the wheel, answer the questions police are posing to you, and stay on the scene until the police say you can go. The kicker? They're absolutely free. Check with your local law enforcement agency to see if they participate in the program and if you qualify for a blue envelope. As far as defending your rights and all that other stuff on DeCastro's card, if you want to record, say, I invoke my First Amendment right to record as press. If you want to shut up, say, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. There. That's literally all you need to know from his trifold during a traffic stop. Argue your case in court and not on the side of the road. Special thanks to our old buddy Verbo for the tip. And on that note, if you'd like to see us leave the house once in a while to forage for food at the store, instead of whatever we find in the cupboards that apparently expired in 1973, and to force me to keep writing this column each day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Haley drama continues in Canton. It's Wednesday, so we have our usual Twitter drama out of the Canton, Massachusetts area, with Kate Peter and others focusing on the identity of a mysterious sock account that had been threatening pro-O'Keefe family accounts and defending Karen Reed. Masshole Mafia wrote, "Our taxpayers' dollars pay Haley's salary while she harasses witnesses, posts confidential reports, and she should, due to her position, know that they are confidential, and spreads lies to simp for a notorious criminal. If you want to contact her employer, stay tuned. I'm getting final confirmation of what I already know, and then this bitch is going to get blasted. While she was stalking me and my family on vacation and posting lies, I was watching. She really fucked up yesterday, though, and should have been more careful and confirmed Zoom was working. Saw her with my own eyes. It's shameful the type of people who get sucked into the turtle cult. Guess what, Haley? From one big back bitch to another, he's never gonna fuck you." With Grant Smith Ellis following by going all in, totally identifying Haley as another longtime male troll in the community. Well. I now have confirmation that the notorious troll account Haley W. that has been tormenting an SA victim to help Aiden Turtleboy Kearney is indeed a former Catholic priest named Mark Murphy. Murphy's car was located and it matched photos posted to the Haley account in the early months of 2024. From what I understand, Father Murphy fell in love with his seminarian during his time in the priesthood and eventually left the profession because that person was a man. In turn, Murphy went on to work with a former Boston city councilor before falling off the map entirely. Murphy then opened a website called The Jennings Report that targeted the same victim on behalf of Kearney, was exposed because he forgot to hide the domain registration and then deleted that fake profile entirely. Only then did Murphy return on the Haley W. account. When this was exposed and confirmed last week, Murphy began issuing threats after pictures of his family were located online. In one such deal that confirmed his identity, Murphy demanded all mentions of his name in connection to the Haley account be removed under threat of criminal retaliation against the person in question, apparently. At this point, because of the extensive criminal liability facing the Haley W. account, including as a result of releasing protected court documents about children, it is my understanding Murphy himself may now be under investigation. Murphy has also been sent pictures of that victim and her children in recent days, apparently by a PI tied to Aiden Kearney, which has been following Kate Peter, Kearney's former colleague, and Jen McCabe, a witness in the Karen Reed trial. This is a breaking story, more as I know it, presumed innocent, etc. #father, #Mark Murphy. We'll continue to monitor these accusations and the identity of Haley as they come forward. Glenn Serio loses in small claims court again. Telecline posted a new video to her YouTube channel late Tuesday night with an update on Glenn Serio's latest loss in small claims court on Tuesday. Serio was trying to sue Officer Andy Meal of Edmonds, Washington's police force in an incident where Serio was not arrested but was briefly detained as a suspect in a shoplifting incident. The officer found Serio walking near the supermarket and vaguely fit the description of the suspect, so he was briefly held by police. As more police arrived on the scene, Serio claimed he was injured and needed to be transported to a local hospital. Serio sued Meal in small claims court, along with other officers involved in his arrests over the years, and claimed that he would be filing $50 and $100 million federal civil rights lawsuits against the cities of Mukilteo and Edmonds, Washington. The judge in the Meal case threw out Serio's lawsuit on Tuesday as Serio was found to have made an incomplete claim, having not met the requirements to file a claim against the city. Serio was not present at the hearing. Klein pointed out that this was Serial's 8th attempt at a lawsuit in small claims court and the 8th dismissal in the current series of lawsuits. Serial's next court dates are for September 24, 2024, with his small claims court suit against Klein and Everett Police Force worker Erica Bennett in individual cases involving the same material. Bennett is a police worker who created an NCIC document on Serial a few years ago. The document was a warning about Serial's then aggressive stance towards police and contained his driver's license number and social security number as part of the identification process. Klein posted an unredacted copy of the document in one of her videos about Serial. She admits it was a mistake to put up the unredacted document and has since removed the video. However, she has held to her story that there was no malicious intent behind releasing the publicly available document and at no time used his information or directed her fans to use his information for malicious purposes. Serial is suing both women over the document, claiming that it could be used in stealing his identity, going so far as to accuse Klein of attempting to do so. As evidence in the Bennett case, Serial has offered screenshots of messages offering support for Bennett taken from the Everett Police Department's Facebook page. He has also included screenshots of messages from Klein's YouTube page, including multiple super thanks donations made to her, and a copy of a message from Experian indicating that he was one of 2.9 billion people who may have had their data exposed in a recent security breach. Serial has yet to file his federal civil rights lawsuits. Abrams accuses Dr. Phil of fabrication. First Amendment Auditor Josh Abrams followed up his recent ambush of a fellow guest from his recent appearance on Dr. Phil with an in-depth livestream with an audience member on Monday in which he accused Dr. Phil of fabricating the story presented by the other guest. Abrams was recruited by the Dr. Phil show earlier in the year to be a guest on a show about First Amendment auditing. He claimed from the information he was given in advance that the show would be informative about the First Amendment auditing and that he would be sharing the stage with Sean Paul Long Island Audit Riaz. When Abrams contacted Riaz, he found out that Riaz had turned down the show as he didn't know who the police officer and the security guard were who were also guests on the show. Because of that, Abrams was the sole guest to represent the auditing side of the discussion. Problems emerged, according to Abrams, as he filmed B-roll in advance of the taping. He found out that the other guests were staying at a separate hotel and had separate dressing rooms when they came to the show. A third-party, unbiased expert was supposed to provide some sort of judgment at the show over the guests, and Abrams claims that he later found out that this unbiased expert interacted with both the police officer and the security guard before the show, since they were staying at the hotel. Abrams said that he took the story told by the security officer for its face value, and he felt bad for the man, saying that if the story was true, he did not deserve the harassment he and his family received following being exposed by Riaz. However, Abrams claimed that the man and Dr. Phil apparently lied about the veteran who negatively interacted with Riaz and supposedly committed suicide after the event. Abrams said he reviewed the unedited footage from Riaz's camera and did some research of his own and claims that no veteran who had been receiving services at the facility committed suicide since the event took place in 2023. He accused both the security guard and Dr. Phil of fabricating the story in order to tell the negative story about auditing that Dr. Phil had set out to tell. The audience member provided little to no information on the live stream, only offering some background information that audience members are offered to have hair and makeup done before the show, and are offered food services, and had to leave their cell phones in locked bags before making their way to the set. She confirmed that it felt like Dr. Phil had set Josh up to take the blunt of the negative reaction from the audience, despite not being involved in the story that the show centered around. She also claimed that she later researched First Amendment auditing and found that they weren't just people who went around trying to get police fired and had a better understanding of what they do. The video comes after a recent ambush livestream Abrams recently did with the security guard, taking some daytime TV antics to his live streams. He had the security guard on, then confronted the man with Reyes, who had refused to do the Dr. Phil show, and Abrams joined in the harassment and belittling of the security guard by Reyes. Abrams' appearance on the Dr. Phil show is set to air later this fall. GoFundMe, peace is restored to the market. Jose Chile de Castro's Legal Aid Fund Donation Fund Help People Fund took in $25 on Wednesday to come in second in the GoFundMe race, with our own ongoing expenses fund returning to form with 2 new donations for a total of $30 to win the day. Ah, glory, power. Reporting on oneself is usually frowned upon, as day after day we battered and beat the competition to the top again and deserved our own woohoo for taking back the crown and beating back the dreaded trend that was on the verge of being a thing around here. Trends, bends, ends, mends, it's all a mystery to me. In our celebratory thoughts, we stumble upon the case of our future Lord and Savior, Floyd Wallace, who again seems to be taking a break from the live streaming when he was reportedly going to be arriving in Colombia for his latest sex tourism trip by now. When we last heard from Wallace, he had missed his appointment to return to the embassy to get his passport straightened out, and he was going to return on Tuesday because he had a flight on Wednesday. He had promised to come back with news one way or the other as his status as things were in doubt, as he had not raised more than $5 towards his Airbnb costs, and he said there was a question about his passport that he thought was an unpaid fine. Wallace is currently listed as having a plea agreement pending in Oklahoma with a court date to accept sentencing on October 1st, 2024. This is for charges of obstructing an officer last year that he filmed as his very last audit under the guise of American Treasure for Jose Chile de Castro. We don't know if that would impact his leaving the country, but in most cases a defendant would know from the instructions of the court if he or she would be eligible to leave the country on a sex tour. Otherwise, a simple call to the court to notify them that you had tickets to leave would clear things up in an instant. But we, of course, don't have any of that. Floyd's gone dark again. Will he ever learn Spanish? Will he ever find love? Will he ever make more than $5 in a fundraising effort? Will someone tell him that he has a GoFundMe that we're currently reporting on? Until he comes back, we'll never know. And that's all we have for another day. On that note, if you're disappointed that we don't know how to communicate like a real boy and want to force me to keep writing this column each day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Long Island Audit claims defamation by Dr. Phil guest. YouTuber Sean Paul Long Island Audit Reyes on Thursday weighed in on recent accusations by a security guard who appeared as a guest on the Dr. Phil show, claiming that the security guard has defamed him. The security guard appeared on the popular daytime TV personality show and told his version of encountering Reyes in a 2023 incident at an unemployment facility in Virginia. According to the security guard, Reyes acted inappropriately while at the facility, and a veteran who encountered Reyes later committed suicide. The allegations made by the security guard have gone semi-viral within the First Amendment auditing community, with pro and anti-auditing channels weighing in on the appearance. One of those channels, hosted by Gainesville, Florida Police Sergeants Tristan Gunder and John Rappa, called Reyes soft for filing assault charges on the security guard in the original incident, and later offended Reyes by calling him a dipshit, smug, and a frauditor. Insulting both men, Reyes declared that his channel stood up against those who would gaslight in favor of police, and he would expose those who said that we, the people, acted inappropriately and were called bullies. He encouraged his fans to find out more about both men and shared email contacts along with Facebook pages of organizations related to both men. He also claimed that Grunder, who appeared as a guest with Josh Abrams on the Dr. Phil show, wanted to physically assault Josh Abrams in a roid rage incident. Reyes himself appeared on Josh Accountability for All Abrams' YouTube channel in an ambush of the security guard last week, where he confronted the security guard and called him out for allegedly lying about what happened. He then implied the man deserved the treatment he received from Reyes' fans for assaulting him. Abrams later released a video backing Reyes against claims. while stating that if his story were true, the security guard didn't deserve the harassment he received by Riaz's fans. However, Abrams confirmed that the man was lying about the veteran's suicide through his own research and because Riaz presented him with the unedited video recording. The recording was supposedly on display throughout Riaz's Thursday video as proof that there was no veteran at the facility and that the security guard was lying. Riaz was careful not to say anything about TV host Dr. Phil during the video, and the normally aggressively litigious Riaz has yet to file a defamation suit against either the security guard or the police sergeants. FBI involvement in Farwell arrest brings Reed rumors. Wednesday's FBI arrest of former Stoughton, Massachusetts police detective Matthew Farwell for the murder of Sandra Birchmore has brought out diverse reactions from those involved in the Karen Reed case, with new rumors of more FBI investigations that would bring about charges against witnesses in the case. Farwell is accused of killing Birchmore in 2021 after discovering that she was pregnant with his child. The officer had been allegedly grooming Birchmore since she was a child and began a sexual relationship with her that started when she was 15 and lasted until her death. He was one of 3 former Stoughton police officials who have been accused of having unlawful relations with Birchmore. Birchmore's death was originally ruled a suicide, though an investigation by the FBI headed by Josh Levy found new evidence in the case that led to the arrest of Farwell. Levy said that the FBI was investigating the murder for about a year. Because of the involvement of the Stoughton police in the Karen Reed case, reactions from those involved in the Karen Reed case have been prominent, with Aidan Turtleboy Kearney making new charges against the police. Kearney is claiming that the FBI will soon be coming for Brian Albert and Jen McCabe, witnesses in the Karen Reed case, as they are the real killers of Boston police officer John O'Keefe, who Karen Reed is accused of hitting with her car and leaving to die on Brian Albert's front lawn. The FBI had been investigating the handling of the Karen Reed murder case by the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office at the request of the Reed family early last year. Their investigation apparently concluded without indictments, as multiple witnesses in the Karen Reed case, including Brian Albert and Jen McCabe, testified in pretrial hearings that the FBI gave them permission to tell the court that they were not under FBI investigation. Kearney is under indictment for multiple counts of felony witness intimidation of witnesses in the Karen Reed case. He has held to the belief that the FBI will swoop in and arrest the true murderers of O'Keefe, which will result in his exoneration. The YouTuber and journalism Jesus briefly served as Karen Reed's unofficial media spokesperson in 2023 before being indicted on the multiple counts of witness intimidation. Karen Reed's second trial for the murder of John O'Keefe is scheduled for late January of 2025. DeCastro makes more sexist comments. Returning to live streaming after a brief hiatus, Jose Chile DeCastro wasted no time by returning to his sexist ways by launching a sexist attack on a female police officer featured in a clip to start his show. The officer was featured on a video DeCastro was watching and was in the process of assisting in a domestic violence situation where a man had pushed his partner out of their house and wouldn't let her back in to retrieve her belongings. DeCastro began making snide comments toward the officer after saying he was working on becoming more electable, saying that the officer would be better off working at a nail salon, and speculating that the officer would have more value as a stripper. Continuing his attack on the officer, DeCastro said that women are valueless in the field, but could remain in the police force, presumably when he's governor, to monitor surveillance screens in remote locations as part of his extended surveillance programs that would replace incarceration in domestic violence situations. The YouTuber had previously explained that he personally felt that women should not be allowed to serve in the military, police force, or in emergency service jobs where they could be in a role that would dominate a male. He also had previously explained his belief that women are physically inferior to men in every way, and that even the best women's amateur wrestler would be unable to dominate a man of low-level skills in wrestling or martial arts. DeCastro also questioned battery laws, explaining that when couples have sex, they often hurt each other far worse than what the simple shoving the man did to the woman in the video. He wondered why anyone would be charged for simple battery, again when far worse happens when they have sex with a partner. Strangely, DeCastro would later bring on civil rights attorney Alan Beck for a discussion of racist comments made by police in Hawaii against a man Beck was representing from the United Kingdom who was testing the open carry law changes in the state. Hawaii's new laws now allow for open carry of such items as medieval halberds, along with more modern weapons such as tasers. The man was carrying both a halberd and a taser last Friday when police investigated him for suspicious activity. After exchanging verbal barbs with the man, one of the officers said that the man should go back to his home country. Both Beck and DeCastro denounced the comments as racist, and DeCastro agreed that there was no place for racism in the world. In more DeCastro news, he said that he was finally back from Phoenix, Arizona, where he had his teeth fixed. He claimed that he didn't like what was done to his teeth, but he was getting used to it, and he was sure that they'd need more work in the future. Updating his mental health, he said that his PTSD from being illegally incarcerated was getting better and he was moving forward every day. Updating his dog Charlie's health, he now claims that Charlie's near-death experience was from a spleen infection and the dog was now recovering with medication. GoFundMe, DeCastro desperate for funding. First, our good news. For us, anyway. Our ongoing expenses fund took the day for 2 more wins this week, with a pair of $10 donations from our mysterious benefactor who has yet to provide a list of demands. The bad news, of course, is the market stinks right now. We've harped on it before and we'll probably harp on it again. There's no life here. We've taken a peek at the numbers for the month, which we'll recap tomorrow, and nearly everything is down or at 0 levels for the month. Admittedly, we're alive because of our hate watcher who wants to punish us by writing this column each day. Without him, her, they, them, we'd probably have backed off on things entirely, as it's hard to find support for someone as dedicated to torturing us every day. There should be concern, though. The market doesn't live in isolation. We've shown time and time again that those that run crowdsourcing campaigns never bothered to properly promote them, and we've come to a big one as an example of that. Jose Chile de Castro went live Friday night with a regular live stream that quickly focused on his new product lines, including his brand new Team DLZ rubber bracelets that he promised would be on sale on his website today. De Castro justified his new focus on merchandise as YouTube was apparently demonetizing and age-restricting his channel after showing acts of violence by police in videos he reviews on the channel. He complained loudly that some of the violent events were tame compared to some of the UFC fights you can watch on the service. Angered, he said that the merchandise sales will now make up for the revenue he's losing from constant demonetization of his videos by the service. De Castro seemed desperate for cash as he announced his rubber bracelet product, the first of many he said he'd be making available to his users in the future. He, for whatever reason, has stopped being a constant pitchman for his 5A cop card and trifold products, which makes one wonder how well he'll be pitching the new products. Also of note is his very limited actual viewer base. He has around 100 to 200 actual devout followers out of his 615,000 subscribers. That leaves a possibility of 100 to 200 sales per product, with no prospects of long-term sales, as his appeal to the general public is worse than ours. One would think that he would just ask for help. He had previously made a little over $50,000 from his followers to help with lawsuits that never came to fruition. It is not out of the realm of possibility that he could open up an ongoing expenses fund, should it come to it, for his fans to support his monthly expenses much like we do. It's a matter of swallowing pride and admitting you need help. And let's face it, with so many things going on in his world, Chile needs all the help he can get. On that note, if you'd like to help me out, as I'm a 2-time loser who can't support himself, or who is solely dedicated to bringing you the news each day, who, by supporting, brings you the added bonus of forcing me to keep writing this dreadful column each day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. DeCastro attacks boomers, Republicans. On an unusually candid Friday night livestream, Jose Chile DeCastro admitted hitting hard financial times after YouTube has cracked down on the violent content he chooses to display on his channel while lashing out at baby boomers and Republicans for enabling police. DeCastro was triggered by a comment in his side chat that blamed Democrats for the increased police protections that have allowed America, in his eyes, to become a police state. He corrected the commenter that while Democrats have a part, conservatives and boomers fully back police causes and are worse for freedom in comparison. He lashed out specifically at conservative boomers, who he felt were the enablers of police. The YouTuber brought his comments back to encounters with his family over the past few months, who criticized him harshly for disparaging police and calling them pigs. He brutally made his feelings clear. They were wrong, he was right, and the police are the problem, not him. Only to double back and fall on his sword as soon as his chat disparaged him for his comments. He immediately reversed course upon criticism of boomers and Republicans, apologizing directly to the boomers in his audience, and begged for forgiveness, not exactly showing the strength to stand by his decisions needed by the potential governor of any state. DeCastro switched into a pitch for being governor one day and encouraged all his fans to register to vote so they can vote for him in the future. DeCastro had earlier disparaged YouTube as he claimed that it was demonetizing and age-restricting his videos based on the violent and anti-police content he's been featuring lately, openly claiming that the United States government directly ran YouTube and was directly censoring his content. He then displayed a new OTVO and Team DLC branded rubber bracelet, which he claimed would be on sale on his website on Saturday, and would be the first of many new products he would be selling on his website to make up for the lost revenue from YouTube. DeCastro claimed that he averaged over 1,000 viewers before he went to jail and blamed YouTube that he was now averaging 400 viewers across all of the platforms per live stream. Again, lashing out at YouTube, DeCastro said he was refusing to livestream in the new YouTube vertical format despite the viewership gains it would bring due to extended promotion by YouTube of the format. He felt it was simply too much like TikTok for his tastes. The YouTuber has not returned to TikTok since losing multiple accounts last year and since his split with Colin Project Constitution Campbell a year ago. Campbell has essentially cornered DeCastro's market of TikTok, using old videos he produced while working with DeCastro and selling copies of the product he claims to have developed with his former partner. DeCastro said he didn't want YouTube to conquer TikTok or for TikTok to go away, but remained uncommitted to a return to the platform as he ended his live stream. DirectD attacks San Joaquin Valley transparency. YouTuber Christopher DirectD Ruff continued to act as his self-appointed role as enforcer of the First Amendment auditing community with an extended livestream attacking former mentor San Joaquin Valley transparency. Ruff was joined by an auditor named Mars, real name Mitchell, who recently had one of his channels that was co-run by San Joaquin Valley deleted by San Joaquin Valley due to a dispute over monetization of the channel. Mitchell said that he had moved to California from Colorado to work with San Joaquin, but eventually problems developed between the two as Mitchell did not want to monetize his channel when San Joaquin wanted him to monetize the channel in San Joaquin's wife's name. After several discussions and continued disagreement, Mitchell said that he woke up one morning to find that the channel was deleted by San Joaquin without warning, with San Joaquin then disparaging him and claiming he owned him. The actions triggered Ruff, who had previously worked as an editor for San Joaquin in a similar situation where he left Arizona for California to work with the YouTuber. The pair had a falling out as well after Ruff helped build San Joaquin's channel to tremendous success. Ruff revealed a series of text messages where he claimed San Joaquin admitted to filing content strikes on multiple YouTube creators using sock accounts, including Lackluster, James Freeman, and Sean Paul Long Island Audit Riaz, and bragged about causing at least one creator to lose his channel completely. After reading the text, Ruff also claimed that San Joaquin had been taking a picture of Ruff's partner buying a handgun and claiming that it was Ruff buying a handgun. Ruff is not allowed to own firearms as he is a convicted felon. Being caught with a gun as a felon is a Class 4 felony and can bring a sentence of 2 years and 6 months in prison in Arizona, where Ruff lives. Ruff said that he was tired of the community not policing itself and would do his best to continue to call out members of the community who acted out of line, including Jose Chile de Castro, in the future. LVMPD responds, bad news for De Castro. Earlier in the week, Judge Andrew Gordon ruled that the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department could file another response to Jose Chile de Castro's updated filing in response to their motion for summary judgment, with their attorney taking advantage of the ruling Friday afternoon. Both sides were allowed to update their reasoning for and against the summary judgment based on the overturning of the verdict in de Castro's trial for the charges that de Castro based the lawsuit on, with de Castro filing that now that an appeals court found for him, all of his claims against the LVMPD should be found as valid, as he should essentially be allowed to continue the lawsuit. Craig R. Anderson, the lawyer for the LVMPD, essentially said not so fast with his second reply to de Castro's reasoning. Anderson reminded Judge Gordon that de Castro had now retained a competent lawyer and is no longer pro se. That means that the leeway de Castro had been using as a pro se litigant should no longer apply to rulings by Gordon. Anderson stated that de Castro's attorney, Michael Mee, should now be held to the same standards that they've had to work with from the beginning of the case, and the judge should not invent reasons to rule in favor of de Castro as if he were a pro se litigant. That said, they pointed out that Judge Gordon's previous rulings are still valid. He threw out everything but wrongful instruction charges and the charges of excessive force. He gave de Castro the ability to refile some of the charges, but de Castro ignored the judge's ruling and simply refiled everything exactly the same way in his second amended complaint. With the two remaining charges, Anderson claimed de Castro did nothing to prove his case. He provided no evidence of his claims that he suffered permanent damage or any damage to his testicles or his ulnar nerve, and he specifically made no real arguments to back his improper training charge. Going further, Anderson showed that despite the state court's decision, the LVMPD were not a party in that case. They were not allowed to state their defense in that trial, and de Castro failed to show any laws that would force a federal court to accept a state court's decision based on the same conditions. Anderson also contended that Gordon found probable cause for the arrest. He applied the same guidelines that Officer Bork did at the time of the arrest and found that there was cause for arrest. De Castro did not argue for Gordon to change his mind. Instead, he deferred to the ruling by the appeals court, which incorrectly applied the Wilson ruling in the final verdict. Judge Gordon's ruling on the motion for summary judgment is expected later this fall. Tella Klein shares Glenn's stereotypes. YouTuber Tella Klein released a new video to her channel in which she said she used money she received from her subscribers to purchase audio copies of Glenn Serio's recent appearances in Snohomish County Small Claims Court this month for 3 cases against Mukilteo-based police officers. The first of the recordings featured Serio's August 6, 2024 hearing, where he went in trying to sue 3 Mukilteo officers, but somehow ended up having 5 cases dismissed on the day. Klein's recording shed some light on the situation as Serio's case was called and he and the officers were sent into a room with the mediator. When mediation failed, the group reported back to the judge what had happened. The judge immediately questioned the nature of the lawsuit, as the claims against the officers were not appropriate to be heard in small claims court. She then informed Serio that he would not receive a court date for the claims against the officers for that reason, and informed him that he would have to refile the case in an appropriate court. Both the attorney for the officers and Serio brought up what Serio called the rest of the case, as he had a court date set with the same sort of filings against 2 more officers from Mukilteo. After looking at those 2 cases, the judge dismissed them as well, again instructing Serio that he should find an appropriate venue should he refile them. The ruling was a significant setback for Serio, who apparently was using the small claims court cases to fuel his planned multi-million-dollar federal lawsuits against the cities of Everett and Mukilteo. when he claimed he had served representatives of both cities with paperwork for the federal lawsuits. The actual paperwork the representatives received were copies of the small claims court documents. Klein and Serio have been at odds for years, as Klein had been the only reporter to consistently report on Serio's antics in the Seattle area. Her reporting has drawn his ire on several occasions in the past, with the lawsuit seen by many as his revenge on the reporter for countering claims he has made about his court cases in his dramatic YouTube videos. Serio has one more batch of cases for his current small claims court lawsuits, with late September hearings set for both his suits against Klein herself and Everett police worker Erica Bennett.